So I'm going to try to explain the best I can soul recognition from where we're standing. So the way we understand soul recognition is like this. It's a telepathic communication that spirals into the cornea from one entity to another. And when you have this soul recognition, there's a communication that takes place on both ends. But depending on where you're at in your evolution is going to depend on if you can perceive it or not. Like, I've had lots of different cases of entities that I've had soul recognition with, and they had no idea who I was, but I knew who they were. Also, the first time I experienced soul recognition, we didn't know. Like, you could feel it in your soul. It's something that shifts in your soul. Like, after you have an experience with someone that you encounter on your soul family, it changes your life. Like, you'll never forget that moment. And also, another different way that we've experienced soul recognition is like in the battlefield. So, like, multiple different times we've had entities that are part of our soul family to come and just like, they might just intervene on something, or they might just shift the attention, or it could be something so subtle, or it could be something big. It could be both. And sometimes those people know what time it is, and sometimes they have no idea. It just depends on if you're actually on the journey consciously or if you're on the journey subconsciously, because you can still elevate if you apply certain principles to life and live by them. You can elevate and build in the unseen, but you're not it's a disconnect between the conscious and the subconscious. Like, it's almost like programming, like you're running on a program and you don't realize it, but you've made that program based off of like different principles that you've established in the way you operate on a day-to-day basis. So depending on the entity, depending on the mission, it all just varies. But usually, like, when you have the cornea to cornea contact, and let me tell you, I've had this happen in a photograph before too. You can get information from photographs if it's like soul family also. So, you can really think outside the box with these concepts, but that's why we say a lot of the stuff is in the eyes. Like, the eyes is connect straight to the soul. So when you're communicating from the eyes like that, it's truth. Like, unless you see, the only time you got to question it is if you see like skipping. Like, you know how like in the Matrix, how the cat is like skipping? Like, if you're having a soul recognition, because some of these warlocks are advanced as well and can have mirrored concepts to be able to lure in high ranking entities. So if it's like smooth, if the transition is smooth and you get a telepathic communication with it, that's what you're looking for, because the telepathy and stuff like that, it's hard to replicate the telepathy, but like they might be able to replicate the visual imagery, if you know what I'm saying. So whenever I'm looking for soul recognition, I want to make sure it's a clean transaction, and I want to, if I see any skipping in the transaction, I know that's a be careful, like be very careful, because that might be like some type of high ranking evil entity or shapeshifter. You never know what's going on out here these days. It's just gotta be safe, and you have to go with your intuition no matter what. And whether you're the activator in the situation or whether another person is coming in to assist you, like these are sort of like contracts, and we want to make sure that we are completing all of our soul contracts to the best of our ability, because that is put in place for us to elevate in our journey. So we want to make sure every contract is fulfilled. If you have to leave what you're doing to keep continuing contracts, that's how it's meant to be. And then, sometimes you'll circle back and whatever, but you have to, every single one has to be complete, because you put that there before you came here. So soul recognition in the eyes, just paying attention to people's eyes and what they're doing with their eyes is important as well, because it can tell you a lot about your situation. So that's going to be my little bit on soul recognition. If you've experienced this or whatever, or if you have a different take on it, let me know, because I'm interested in everybody's take on what I'm perceiving.